Number 8 is eco art. When making landscape art, or for any art for that matter, you should consider if you're actually damaging the flora and fauna in the universe that you're actually making a comment upon. I talked to an artist not too long ago who was trying to make a comment about ecological issues and was floating 1,000 plastic ducks in a river. So, actually sort of consider what you're doing as opposed to just sort of going out there. It seems really obvious, but I keep seeing this over and over again. Consider going green with the materials that you choose to use in your artwork, but also when you're printing. There are now green printing houses that will actually use soy-based inks, and there is no reason why we all can't be using green printing materials to take care of our catalogs, our announcements, all of that stuff. When you go to print out an email, consider if you really need to print it out. Maybe you don't need to. Creating a PDF reminder on your desktop might look a little tacky when you have 2,000 things on your desktop like I do, but the landfill will thank you. Number 9, create a space. This is not necessarily a building. We create a space for the promise of participatory and socially engaged practices. So the idea is that if you can create a space that alleviates those barriers to freedom of expression, and you can get people together to have a dialogue, that can be really, really important. I'm not suggesting starting a nonprofit or a bureaucratic mess of some kind, but you might actually, as a social entrepreneur, start a business, something that actually supports creatives. A place that actually contributes to the ideas that artists are smart can actually be good at business, and on their own terms. You might hire other artists to work with you, and be creative in business aspects as much as you are with the artwork. Develop new scenarios and new ways of working. One of the things I wanted to talk about is audience. What's interesting is a lot of people think that an activist practice doesn't have a very big audience, or there's different sort of scenarios that don't appeal to people. I can tell you that having projected slides in commercial theaters, in between the popcorn and trivia slides, there was an audience of 400,000 in 6 weeks. That rivals any museum. When I took 20 parking meters and put them in sites all over Los Angeles, and you fed the meter with a quarter, you got 15 minutes of sound. We raised $10,000 to support artists with AIDS by quarters, right? So little pieces add up. Number 10, thank those who support you. Everyone likes to be thanked. Curators, dealers, faculty, funders.
Thank you, Karen.
No. If you get rejected for a grant, you might actually think about writing a thank you note for the fact that the grant exists at all. If you apply for a teaching job and you don't get hired, you might thank them for actually having that position available. So really think about the idea that it's not necessarily thanking people for something that you get every time, but actually consider the fact that you would thank those people who make things happen, regardless of whether you get that prize or not. If you start your career and you work with nonprofit organizations, and eventually you, quote, make it, whatever that means, and you actually have more than $2 to rub together, give back. Consider supporting those institutions that help you get your career started so that they can actually do the same thing for other artists. Despite art being a kind of lonely persona, it's actually a collaborative activity on many levels. Curators, galleries, other artists, all sort of have a support structure, and you can't do it without them as well as you can't do it without yourself. The last one is number 11, and I titled it Plan a Trip. The need for artists' voices in public has never been greater. Art is something that defies time and space. It can take place in the studio, at your kitchen table, continue down the stairs and into the street. It can travel to organizations, museums, offices, public sites, where it can address time or calendar-specific issues, or tackle large global issues. It can make its way into the storage building of a collector, or it can plan a trip that moves across the country in multiple territories. It may even go global. Nomadic strategies allow for a diversity of diversity and a longer life of engagement. Thank you.